The numbers are staggering. A Pentagon survey estimates unreported sexual assaults in the military last year skyrocketed from 19 to 26,000. The number of reported assaults rose 6% to 3,374. Out of that, only 238 assailants were convicted.
Let's talk here for a moment about hypocrisy. The American military and the American people make a big deal about welcoming home all of our veterans, talk about the help they need, and talk about treating them with the respect they deserve. Yet the military itself, and to a large part the general public, refuse to talk out loud about sexual abuse in the military. Women and men, the victims of sexual assault, and the fact 62% of those who report said assault faced retaliation, many times still being told to shut up or else. Let's welcome in women's rights researcher at Human Rights Watch and co-author of the report, Embattled: Retaliation Against Sexual Assault Survivors in the U.S. Military, Meghan Rhoad. Meghan, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Meghan, I really thought, as did many people, we were past this. Weren't we told in the last couple of years that our American military and the government was doing something to ferret out these cretins and these people who prey on others?
You know, there has been a lot of talk, and there have been a number of reforms, but we were startled to find out that this issue of retaliation continues to plague the military, that in fact the brave young men and women who come forward and say that this happened to them, that they were assaulted by someone else in the ranks, who try and help the military ferret out, as you say, these perpetrators, that face retaliation for doing so.
Is this just the fact that many of these men and women who are being assaulted are hit because of a perceived weakness? Are they picked out for a specific reason? Are we able to find anything out to hone in on that?
Well, I think it's hard to say, especially with so many sexual assaults going unreported, to know exactly what makes someone picked to be a victim. But the retaliation, it's clear that at least once someone reports that they're seen as an outsider, as a troublemaker, as someone who is eroding the unit cohesion, when in fact actually they've done the brave thing and come forward.
What about the current method for reporting sexual assault itself? Is that flawed, or is it a part of leadership that's not taking it seriously?
Well, I mean, I think there is something has to be wrong when, if you come forward and report a sexual assault, you're 12 times more likely to face retaliation than you are to see your perpetrator convicted. I think that there's quite a bit that needs to be done to strengthen the system in terms of reporting and in terms of protecting those after they have come forward and reported.
I think the numbers here are absolutely staggering when you look at the fact that there were, in 2013, 5,000 sexual assaults reported, but 26,000 unwanted sexual assaults. The numbers are frightening here, Meghan, because in your research, were you able to find anything that's not being done to stop this? These numbers should be going down. What's not happening?
Well, the major issue that we found is that people are seeing the retaliation against those who do come forward, and it's a deterrent then for them to come forward if something happens to them. And if you are retaliated against, your remedies are extremely limited. The exclusive remedy for someone who faces professional retaliation for reporting is the Office of Inspector General and protection under the Military Whistleblower Protection Act. Yet we found evidence that not a single victim of sexual assault has gotten protection under that act.
That's despicable in so many ways when I think about that, the fact that they haven't been protected. We're talking here about sexual assault, and people always believe first and foremost that it is women, but these are women and men, correct? We're not just talking about one sex.
No, that's absolutely right. In fact, more than half of the victims are men. Women suffer sexual violence at a higher rate than men, but because men make up a disproportionate number of those serving in the military, they actually do constitute the majority of victims.
Is there, and this is a tough question, and I mean it probably just still is up to supposition, is there a rape culture? in our military?
I think there's definitely a problem with victim blaming, and a culture of victim blaming in a lot of the cases that we documented, where people in the abstract would say that they're against rape and they support people coming forward, but once they hear the details of an individual story, the judgment comes in, and people pick apart the victim's behavior and look for reasons to not respond as we would hope.
Meghan, I've got about a minute left here. Is the general consensus here then, is seeing as these numbers are rising, that the military leaders, the government in this country, is giving lip service to this and really, in many ways, lying to the American people when they say we're doing everything we can?
Well, I think that there has been improvement in some areas, and I don't want to discount that the Department of Defense has made a number of real efforts, but it became clear from our research that this area of retaliation remains one of the really the sore points, and must be dealt with if we're to tackle the issue of sexual assault in the military going forward.
The numbers are frightening. It's an 18-month-long comprehensive investigation by Human Rights Watch. It's called Embattled: Retaliation Against Sexual Assault Survivors in the U.S. Military. I want to remind everybody, if you want to learn more about this, go to the website hrw.org. Stands for Human Rights Watch. hrw.org, and learn more about it. This is still very frightening and should not be happening to this day. Meghan, thank you so much for joining us. We'll stay in touch.
Thank you so much.
It is our pleasure. Stay with us, because this is the only show that questions everything. This is MidPoint.